Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 8, written by user McGilm72, features a world on pause. Everything is quiet, ceases movement, besides her kids in her car. I want to share something that happened to me the other day. I don't know if you would describe it as a glitch, but it was just so bizarre I had to come share it. Firstly, I need to give you context to help you understand. I live in Australia. Right now it's coming into summer, the hot weather is coming around where I live, and the cicadas have come out. They are deafening during the day. Anyway, it was midday and I was driving in my car with my 2 kids, ages 12 and 10. We were driving along a busy-ish road. There were 2 lanes going in each direction. We pulled up to the traffic lights at the crossroads junction. I was a bit back from the lights as it was busy, and I could see the other cars on each side of the junction. Suddenly it went completely quiet, and I mean deadly quiet. There were no car engine noises, no birds, no cicadas, no wind blowing through the trees, absolutely nothing. I looked at the cars in front, at either side of the junction, and none of them were moving. Usually if one set of lights is red, another is green, but despite traffic being at all sets of lights, no one was moving. I looked at my kids. They seemed to have noticed it too, as they both looked confused, but funnily none of us spoke. Then maybe a minute or more later, everything started again. Cars moved, you could hear their engines, and the cicadas started as well. My 12-year-old daughter, who was sitting in the passenger seat beside, finally broke the silence in the car by saying, "Well, that was weird." When I looked at her, I nodded. She said it was like the world was paused and muted. I agreed, and we talked about it the whole way home. This morning while driving them to school, my daughter commented on how she didn't understand what had happened. I'm at a loss for explanation too. I cannot stress how quiet it was. Complete and utter silence. And on a side note, I have tinnitus 24/7, damage from chemotherapy, and I noticed that it was also gone during this event. If my kids hadn't been there with me and commented on it first, I would have just thought it was me and my ears playing up, but they both heard it too, and yes, they have no hearing problems. Case notes, file number 8. My first question was going to be if you hear anything in dead silence. I too have a level of tinnitus, but if this was paused too, that's just really strange. For me it's 24/7, and like you said, for you as well. It absolutely never pauses, even for a split second. Always there, it's literally a processing issue in our brains that causes it, a sort of overload. What comes to mind for me is like a pause state in a video game. Perhaps there was an issue upcoming in your specific location which had to be patched in real time, but a pause was needed for the simulation to continue running smoothly after the update was programmed in. Honestly, I'm 90% convinced that's where these sudden and seemingly random time freezes are coming from. Though it's very curious that both you and your kids were all consciously aware of this. It leads me to think that, indeed, we're not NPCs in the world, but participants plugged in. That is to say, the simulation can be paused, but our perception of it as an interface isn't. We aren't the program, only the ones chugging through it. McGilm72 responded to this comment, saying, "My tinnitus is usually 24/7, even in normal silence, I still hear the high-pitched ringing in my ears. In fact, in quiet times, the ringing is louder. It's so bad that at night to go to sleep, I have to use some background noise to soften the ringing so I can sleep. I've never experienced a moment without tinnitus ringing in over 2 years, and if it hadn't been for my children being there and witnessing it too, I might have just put it down to something wrong with my ears. As time passes, the memory of it feels like it's fading, almost like a dream. It's very frustrating, and I can't remember exactly why I was even on that road. Then I asked my kids if they remember why we were there, and they can't. I was heading back towards our home, like we had been somewhere and was returning home, but I can't figure out what it was. I've looked at my texts and even my camera roll to try to jog my memory of what I was even doing there, but I can't. I remember the actual event clearly, but the whole day before and after is now gone. Continuing my notes. Yeah, that adds more details. The fact that you don't even remember why you were there, what you were doing before. So maybe you were lured there for some reason. Maybe the update, if that's what it was, required you to be in a specific location for it to work. Huh, how peculiar. Case file number 9. Written by user Jonathan Wright 101. Illustrates the power of our mind and connections between those we love, even our pets. My Shih Tzu, Jack Bauer, and I have been tied for a while. I got him 10 years ago, and since I've added a wife, another dog, a cat, and 4 kids. However, my Shih Tzu and I are main homies. He knows who my favorite is. We have this weird relationship where I can sense what he wants before he barks or even looks at me. The wife gets weirded out by it, but I think that's just jealousy of our connection. The other day, however, Jack Bauer and I took things to a new level. This was off the wall. Bauer was passed out on his back on the couch besides my daughter who was doing her homework. I went into the kitchen to do the dishes. About 20 minutes later, as I was finishing up, I see Bauer right beside me staring at me. I give him a few pets on his noggin. I know that look. He wants water. So I pour him a cool drink. Yet as I drop the water bowl, Bauer is nowhere in sight. This is weird. Bauer never leaves me until he gets what he wants, and he wants water. I start looking around for him, and lo and behold, he's passed out on his back on the couch, in his favorite position besides my daughter. I asked her if he's moved, and as I do, he snores. Byproduct of having no snout. My daughter doesn't know what I'm talking about. He hasn't moved, and regardless, he's too old and fat to get up and down the couch without help anyway. It does get weirder. Well, I figured I know my dog because we have that connection and all, so I should wake him up and see if he's thirsty. I take him to the water bowl, and lo and behold, he was parched. He drank the whole bowl of water, and then grabbed a snack. The only rational conclusion I can think of is that Astral Bauer let me know that Material Bauer was thirsty. Case notes, file number 9. Right, so first off, excellent name. Though not entirely fitting given that you describe this force that is Mr. Bauer as being fat and lazy. But hey, with a name like that, why bother being fit? So, per the event, it makes me wonder how astral projection works. Or if this is more of a foresight ability. But also, how are these triggered? I've given it a lot of thought, and the very nature of the universe has inherent uncertainty and randomness. Hell, we can barely predict the weather beyond 3 days because of chaos theory. Now in your case, the predictive vision was only a few seconds ahead of time, and it was more about the emotional and physical state of Mr. Bauer than it was the precise detailing of the future. So I think it makes a certain level of sense that this could be possible, especially with other sentient beings that we share a potent connection with. It's like the tendrils of our mind can ripple off into the future, and somehow we're able to glean from them something that might happen later, or a possible state of the future. Something like that. And that concludes our case files for the night. If you did enjoy the video, I'll just throw out all the standard YouTube stuff, like, comment, share the video, it all helps. And if you'd like to subscribe, I upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 PM EST with new case files all the time. I'll see you there.